We're on shift at Washington National Airport, sitting in the radar control room. The hum of the equipment and the flicker of the green lights cast eerie shadows on the walls. It's a quiet night, typical for a warm July evening in 1952. The air is thick, and the monotony of scanning the skies has lulled you in a comfortable rhythm. You watch the planes come and go, the blips on the radar moving like clockwork. Everything is normal. Until it isn't. A sharp beep jolts you upright. There's an unfamiliar blip on the radar, moving fast. Far too fast for any commercial or military aircraft. You lean in, squinting at the screen. The object is darting across the sky at incredible speed, performing sharp maneuvers that no plane could possibly achieve. You blink, trying to make sense of it. Is there a malfunction? You check the equipment, but everything seems normal. You call over to Andrews Air Force Base to confirm. Their radar is picking up the same thing. Multiple unidentified objects are streaking across the sky, heading toward the heart of Washington, D.C. Are you seeing this? Your colleague at Andrews says, their voice shaking with disbelief. They're all over the place. We've got 8 contacts now. Your pulse quickens. The idea of multiple objects flying erratically near restricted airspace and the nation's capital is beyond unsettling. You check your radar again, hoping it's some kind of glitch, but there it is, 8 blips, moving in patterns that defy explanation. You radio to the tower, informing them of the situation. They patch you through to Major Dewey Fornett, the Pentagon's UFO liaison, and brief him on what you're seeing. His response is terse. We need jets in the air, immediately! Minutes later, you hear the roar of the F-94 Starfire interceptors taking off from Newcastle Air Force Base. Your heart pounds as you follow the objects on your screen, wondering what they are. You know they aren't planes, not with the speeds they're reaching and the impossible angles they're turning. This is something else, something no one has seen before. The jets close in on the objects, but just as they approach, the blips vanish from your radar. You watch in disbelief. The objects simply disappear as if they were never there. The pilots report seeing strange lights in the sky, but they can't get close enough to identify them. Lights just blinked out, one pilot says over the radio, his voice hushed with confusion. We lost them. For a moment, the room is silent except for the low hum of the radar. You exchange uneasy glances with the other operators. Then, just as suddenly as they vanished, the blips reappear, behind the jets, darting across the sky in unpredictable patterns. They're back! Someone yells. You try to make sense of what you're seeing. Every instinct tells you that this can't be happening. Aircraft don't behave this way. Nothing you've ever been trained for prepared you for this. The jets scramble to pursue the objects again, but it's as if the UFOs are toying with them, darting away just as soon as the planes get close, only to reappear moments later in a different part of the sky. One by one, the pilots are forced to return to the base. They're low on fuel and UFOs are beyond reach. You sit back in your chair, staring at the radar, your mind racing. Whatever these objects are, they aren't behaving like anything you've ever seen before, and they're here, over Washington. The next night, you return to the control room, still shaken with the events from the previous evening. You hope that whatever happened was a one-off, an anomaly, but part of you knows that something bigger is in play. You sit down, your eyes glued to the radar screen, scanning the skies for any sign of strange objects. An hour passes, then 2. The air is thick with tension. Every little movement on your radar makes you jump, but so far, nothing unusual. And then, just after midnight, they're back. The blips appear suddenly, and in greater numbers this time, moving in the same erratic, impossible ways. Your stomach tightens as you watch them approach the city again, weaving through restricted airspace as if they know exactly where to go to cause maximum concern. The tension in the room is palpable. Everyone is on edge, whispering theories that range from experimental aircraft to extraterrestrial visitors. You don't want to jump to conclusions, but deep down, you know this is something beyond human technology. The Air Force is already on high alert after the previous night's sightings. Jets are scrambled almost immediately, and this time you hear the urgency in the pilots' voices as they chase the unidentified objects. But once again, the UFOs evade them effortlessly, disappearing from radar just as the jets close in, only to reappear moments later in another part of the sky. They're playing with us, one pilot mutters over the radio, frustration creeping into his voice. This time, visual sightings pour in from all over the city. Civilians call in, reporting bright glowing lights darting across the sky, moving too fast to be any known aircraft. Police officers and military personnel confirm these sightings. There's no doubt now. Something is up there, and it's not from this world. The next day, the incident is all over the news. Headlines scream UFOs from Washington, and people are demanding answers. The Air Force holds a press conference to address the situation, and you watch on a small television in the break room. General John Samford, the Air Force Director of Intelligence, stands before a sea of reporters. He exclaims that the radar contacts were real, but insists there's no threat to national security. He blames the sightings on temperature inversions, or weather phenomenon that can cause radar anomalies and other strange effects. You listen to the explanation, but it doesn't sit right with you. Temperature inversions might explain some strange radar readings, but they don't account for the speed, the sharp turns, or the way the objects vanished and reappeared. And what about the visual sightings? Were they all hallucinations? The press conference ends, but the questions linger. You've seen too much to believe it was just a weather phenomenon. You return to the control room feeling a weight on your chest. You're not alone. Everyone who was there, who saw the blips on the radar, knows there's more to the story than what the public is being told. In the days and weeks that followed, the incident becomes a topic of heated debate. Some people accept the Air Force's explanations, while others remain convinced that something extraordinary happened over Washington that July. UFO enthusiasts point to the 1952 sightings as proof of extraterrestrial visitation, while skeptics dismiss it as mass hysteria. But you can't forget the blips on the radar, the lights in the sky, the way the objects move with precision and intelligence. Whether they were alien craft or some kind of top-secret military experiment, you know one thing for certain. Those nights changed everything. You sit in the control room, long after your shift has ended, staring at the radar screen. The blips are gone, but their presence lingers in your mind. You know that someday, whether through accident or design, the truth will come out, and when it does, you'll be ready. For now, though, you wait, because whatever they were, you have a feeling they'll be back. What up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, or if you're new here, welcome to the channel. My name is Andrew, and today we're talking about the 1952 UFO over Washington, D.C. Incident, basically. So from what I can tell, from the research, it began in July 1952, just like I said in the story. I tried to keep the story close to real while interjecting some fake, fake like names and stuff like that. If you like what we do here, why not like, comment, subscribe. Let me know down below what you think of the story, what you think of the topic we're covering. And while this may not be true crime, it is rather fantastical, and aliens seem to be a topic of great interest as of the past couple days. So let's get into it. It all began on July 19th, 1952. Late that night, an air traffic controller at the Washington National Airport, now known as Reagan National, noticed something strange on the radar screens. Multiple unidentified objects, blips that didn't correspond with any known aircraft, appeared suddenly. These objects moved rapidly, reaching speeds up to 7,000 miles an hour, far beyond the capability of any known military or commercial planes at that time. The radar operators were understandably concerned. They quickly checked the equipment for malfunctions, but everything was functioning properly. Nearby, Andrews Air Force Base also confirmed the strange radar contacts. What they were seeing was real. To add to the mystery, several civilian and military personnel on the ground reported seeing bright, glowing lights moving erratically in the sky. These objects were described as bright, orange-colored lights darting back and forth across the sky at incredible speeds. The behavior of these UFOs defied all known laws of aerodynamics. They made sharp turns, hovered, and then sped away in ways that no aircraft of that era could. Within minutes, the airport was notified, and interceptors were scrambled from Newcastle Air Force Base in Delaware. 2 F-94 Starfire jets, armed with machine guns and missiles, were sent to investigate. As they neared UFOs, something extraordinary happened. The objects disappeared from radar, as if they had just blinked out of existence. The events of July 19th were only the beginning. Just 1 week later, on July 26, 1952, the UFOs returned. This time, their numbers had increased, and their behavior was even more erratic. Once again, radar operators at Washington National Airport and Andrews Air Force Base tracked multiple unidentified objects zipping through the skies over the nation's capital. As the radar blips continued to appear, eyewitnesses across D.C. reported seeing strange lights performing impossible maneuvers. Police officers, commercial pilots, and civilians all reported similar sightings of bright, fast-moving lights. The Air Force was again called in, and once more, F-94 interceptors were scrambled. But just like before, the UFOs vanished whenever the jets got close, only to reappear moments later in a different part of the sky. This game of cat and mouse went on for hours, leaving everyone involved puzzled and frustrated. But what truly shocked the public was the media response. Major newspapers and radio stations picked up the story immediately, running headlines like "Flying Saucers over the Washington" and "Are we being watched?" The Washington Post ran a front-page story about UFO sightings, and the nation's fascination with phenomena reached a fever pitch. For the first time in history, UFOs weren't just a fringe topic. They were mainstream news. Soon, people across the country were debating the existence of UFOs, and the government found itself under immense pressure to explain what was happening. It's always the government under pressure, and it's always a weather event, right? There's never anything substantial that they can tell us. It's always a weather balloon or a weather event. That dude from Blink 182 was on to something. I'm telling you. In response to the growing panic, the United States Air Force initiated an investigation through their official UFO inquiry, known as Project Blue Book, led by Captain Edward J. Ruppelt. Project Blue Book was responsible for investigating all UFO sightings in the United States. Ruppelt himself described the Washington incident as the most dramatic and unexplained series of UFO sightings in the history of the project. According to Ruppelt's 1956 book, The Report on Unidentified Flying Objects, the sightings were taken very seriously by high-ranking officials in the Air Force. It's important to note that the Air Force was just established just a few years prior to this happening. Like, the Air Force during World War II was a part of the Army. They didn't really become their own separate thing until afterwards, so there's like a 7-year period here where the Air Force was part of the Army, and then they became their own thing, and now they're investigating UFOs on their own. So, not that that's part of this, it's not really that important, but it is kind of important to note that they're a new branch when all this was happening.
What?
In an attempt to calm the public, the Air Force held a press conference on July 29th, 1952, led by Major General John Samford, who was the Director for Intelligence for the Air Force at that time. Samford attributed the radar sightings to temperature inversions, a meteorological phenomenon where warm air traps cooler air near the Earth's surface, sometimes causing radar anomalies. He suggested that the strange lights seen in the sky could have been caused by these atmospheric conditions. But not everyone was convinced. While the Air Force stood by its temperature inversion explanation, critics argued that the phenomenon couldn't account for the detailed eyewitness reports, nor the speed and maneuvers displayed by the UFOs. Yeah, I don't buy temperature inversions one bit. Not one bit, yeah.
I don't know.
Over the years, numerous theories have been put forward to explain the Washington UFO incident. Some, like the Air Force, point to temperature inversions or faulty radar equipment, but many experts argue that the explanations fall short of accounting for all the details. Yeah, like false equipment. You're gonna have false equipment over three different things of radar, like three radar basically at 3 different locations. Like, they're all gonna be bad at the same time.
You serious?
What are the odds of that actually happening? Like, honestly. One popular theory is that the objects were experimental aircraft being tested by the military. During the early 1950s, the United States was in the midst of the Cold War, and the development of new technologies was at an all-time high. Could these UFOs been classified military projects that the public, and even many within the military, weren't aware of? I don't know. I don't really buy that, because we were still using tube tech back then. Tube tech compared to like today's stuff is like Stone Age technology. So just that the fact that they were using tubes, it's still in everything. Like even computers back then were full of tubes. So like I don't really see that being a thing, right? Others believe that the objects were extraterrestrial in origin. The idea that intelligent beings from another world could be visiting Earth became increasingly popular in the years following World War II, especially after the infamous Roswell incident in 1947. UFO enthusiasts point to the Washington sightings as evidence of a government cover-up, arguing that the Air Force's explanation was simply a way to calm the public and hide the truth. The History Channel's Ancient Alien series, as well as other programs, have covered the Washington UFO sightings extensively, suggesting that these encounters could be part of a larger pattern of extraterrestrial visitation. According to UFO researchers, the Washington incident was not an isolated event. Similar sightings occurred around the same time in New York, California, and even Canada. UFO was up in the sky, eh? Wonder what they're doing up there. Just kidding. I love Canadians. The events of July 1952 had a profound impact on Washington, D.C. and the broader United States. For the first time, the nation's capital, a symbol of American power and security, had been invaded by something completely unknown. For many, this raised questions about the government's ability to protect its citizens from threats beyond Earth. In the months following the incident, Washington, D.C. became a hotspot for UFO enthusiasts, with people flocking to the area hoping for another sighting. The government's response to the sighting was, in particularly Project Blue Book investigations, helped fuel public interest in UFO for decades to come. But the incident also led to increased skepticism. While many people believed that the sightings were evidence of extraterrestrial visitation, others began to question the validity of UFO reports altogether, believing that the government's explanations, while not perfect, were likely closer to the truth than conspiracy theories. Yeah, I kind of fall in the middle of that. Government explanations, while always not satisfying, are usually the most reasonable. I'm not going to say they're logical, because I don't believe for an instant that pockets of hot air trapping cold air is responsible for lights in the sky. That to me is just utter bollocks, but either that or aliens. So what are we going to do there? The 1952 Washington UFO incident left a lasting legacy of pop culture. Films like The Day the Earth Stood Still, 1951, and The Earth vs. Flying Saucers, 1956, captured the public's fascination with extraterrestrial life, directly influenced by the UFO craze of the era. The incident also inspired episodes of The X-Files, documentaries on networks like the History Channel and National Geographic, and countless books, such as Richard Dolan's UFOs and the National Security State, and the Report on Unidentified Flying Objects by Captain Edward J. Ruppelt. And let's not forget the endless references in podcasts, YouTube channels, and even video games like XCOM, The Enemy Unknown, where the idea of alien invaders remains deeply embedded in our imagination. The events over Washington, D.C. are still discussed and debated today in the UFO communities and by those intrigued by the possibility of life beyond Earth. So what really happened in the skies over Washington, D.C. in July 1952? Were those sightings simply a combination of faulty radar and atmospheric anomalies, as the Air Force suggested, or did something far more mysterious occur, something that remains buried beneath layers of government secrecy? One thing's for sure. The 1952 Washington UFO incident captured the world's imagination and continues to spark controversy over 7 decades later. Was this case simply just a case of mistaken identity, or is there more to the story than we have been told? Let me know your thoughts down below. Guys, thank you for watching. Thank you so much for everything that you do. If you like this kind of stuff, like, comment, subscribe. Hit the little bell icon, that way you're notified whenever we upload new content. Check out the merch bar down below. You can always stop in. You don't have to buy anything, but you can check out some of the dopest merch around. And if you want to support the channel, that's a good way to do it. Buying merch is always a good way to support channels. Alternatively, there's a PayPal link up in my bio. You can always sponsor the channel directly that way. You don't have to. Don't feel like you have to. You can always become a channel member as well. I am terrible at getting members only stuff up. This video right now is going to be up in members tonight, and it'll be in members for one day before it goes live on Friday. So I'm recording this on a Wednesday. It's going to go up members tonight, so it'll be up the rest of Wednesday night. It'll be up all day Thursday, and it'll be live for the public on Friday. So members, trying to look after you. I'm sorry, I'm terrible. Thank you everybody who has become a member. I sincerely appreciate it. And yeah, I am going to get out of here, and I'm gonna start working on the next video. So anyways, guys, have a great time. I hope your days go well. Hope your weeks, months, and the rest of this year goes well for you, because we all know last year was trash. It was trash for me. It started out great, and then like 5 months in, it just fell apart, and I could not get it back together. This year is starting out with the same energy as the end of 2024 for me. Will it away. Will it away. Just get out of here, 2024. Get out. Go. Right? Get out of here. Anyways, I'm going to get out of here and stop making stupid voices. I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.